Welcome back to South Florida, everyone. A reminder as we get set for the Jets against the Dolphins, this game is being broadcast in Spanish where available using the SAP button on your television. Todd Bowles is the head coach of the New York Jets, now in his second season as the head man. And here in Miami, Adam Gase in his first year as the head coach of the Dolphins. Let's check in with Jamie Erdahl. Jamie.
Greg, thank you. High-impact injuries for both teams today. I'll start with the Dolphins defense. Quarterback Xavier Howard dealt with a knee injury all week. He's out. Adam Gase told us he considers him second or third best player on that defense. The Dolphins will miss him. The Jets will miss center Nick Mangold for the second straight game. Also on that offensive line, Greg, keep an eye on Ryan Clady. He's active, but when I watched warm-ups this morning, Ben Ajalana took all of the first-string snaps. Definitely something to watch on Clady.
All right, Jamie, thank you. And you're right, key players all the way around. The Miami Dolphins have won the toss, and they have deferred, which means that they will kick it away. And the Jets and Ryan Fitzpatrick will get his hands on. And when we talked with Ryan Fitzpatrick, you get the feeling, Trent, there's no one more anxious to get out there and prove what he can do.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's where he's gotten in trouble this season, is when they've fallen behind. He feels like he has to bring the team back. He feels the weight of it all on his shoulders, and really that's where the turnovers have happened. It's important for them, from a Jet standpoint, to get out to an early lead so he doesn't feel he needs to force those footballs.
To anyone who thinks that the players do not pay attention to the announcers, Ryan made note of the fact that we were there in Kansas City week 3 when he threw the 6 interceptions.
He was the first one to bring it up in the meetings, that's for sure.
I believe his quote was, "Thanks for that." C.J. Spiller, the newly signed C.J. Spiller, number 26, is deep for the Jets. And we get it underway here in South Florida. Spiller will not run it out. He will stay in the end zone. The touchback brings it to the 25-yard line. And it has not been a storybook season for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Not yet. 7 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions. And if the Jets, Trent, hope to make any playoff noise this year, he's got to make it a 3-game winning streak today.
Yeah, he needs to get some consistency. If you look what he did last week against Cleveland, it was a struggle in the first half. It was a struggle for the entire team in the first half. But coming out in the second half, he put together a solid performance, no turnovers, threw that touchdown pass, and brought him back for the victory.
Matt Forte in the backfield with Fitzpatrick, who will start from the shotgun. Fitzpatrick outside, and that's incomplete. For a second straight week, 7-time Pro Bowl center Nick Mangold will not play with a bad ankle. Wesley Johnson starts, and Ben Ajalana is starting at left tackle for Ryan Clady. And running back Matt Forte, the biggest part of the ground game, with 6 rushing touchdowns, and he's also caught a TD pass. Second and 10, and a lot of noise. Fitzpatrick throwing this side, and that is complete to Robbie Anderson. And Anderson across the 30 to about the 31, maybe the 32. A formidable and capable front line, anchored for Miami by 7-year veteran Ndamukong Suh, the team sack leader with 3.5. Middle linebacker Kiko Alonso was acquired by trade with the Eagles. He's Miami's leading tackler, 62 of them. And safety Issa Abdul Kudus, questionable all week with an ankle injury, will start here today. Tony Lippett starts at cornerback in place of injured Xavier Howard. 3rd and 3. Fitzpatrick throwing incomplete. And here come penalty flags. Quincy Enunwa was interfered with coming across the field. Jelani Jenkins looks to be the guilty culprit for the Miami Dolphins.
And Greg, that was pretty obvious. Even from up here, you could see that Jenkins grabbed a hold of Enunwa and turned his whole body.
Interference, number 53, defense. Ball be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
Walt Coleman is our referee today.
You're going to see Enunwa working from left to right. That's where Fitzpatrick's trying to go with the ball. They have a little cross or scissors route, and Jenkins reaches out with that left arm and pulls back Enunwa's left arm, make an easy call for the back referee.
So the Jets with a first down at their own 37. Fitzpatrick with time over the middle. Brandon Marshall is there across midfield into Miami territory for a first down.
Excellent job of protection by the Jets up front. The Dolphins don't like to bring a lot of pressure because they trust and have faith in that defensive line getting penetration. This time Jenkins underneath on the coverage of Marshall. Fitzpatrick throws it right off the top of his helmet, puts it in a position where only Marshall can make this catch. Jenkins not in bad position, just not able to get his head round.
15-yard pickup. The Jets now in Miami territory. Here's the first ground attack of the day, and this is Forte. Forward progress will be marked at about the 47-yard line. And Ndamukong Suh making the stop.
Well, we had a nice conversation yesterday with Suh about just getting used to this defense. Vance Joseph, as defensive coordinator, said it fits real well with what he likes to do and what the rest of the defensive line unit likes to do in terms of he calls defenses based on what his players do well.
This is Brandon Marshall and Byron Maxwell, who exchanged jabs all week long. 2nd and 9. Play fake. Gonna go deep. Wide open. And overthrown is Robbie Anderson.
Well, obviously everybody knows about Brandon Marshall, and Quincy Enunwa has started to emerge with the injury to Eric Decker, even before Decker's injury. But Robbie Anderson is the guy that brings speed to the table. When talking to Ryan Fitzpatrick about him yesterday, he said Robbie Anderson's a guy that can stretch the field. If I get him matched up, that's where I'm going to try and take a shot. You can see there Anderson had Maxwell beat, just not able to connect.
He had him. 3rd and 9. Miami's 3rd down defense, the best in the league so far this season. Fitzpatrick gonna run it. Got a first down. Lateraled it to Bilal Powell. And he's down at the 25-yard line. Whoa!
That's first off, Ryan Fitzpatrick, we know, has a long history of not sliding. He likes to just go up there and get physical with it. This is a play out of Brett Favre's playbook. This is what drives Jets fans got to just be shaking their head. That could have gotten ugly really quick. That could have bounced and gone the other way, but that's the way he is as a player. He's going to do everything he can to try and get his team in the end zone, and sometimes it works, and that time it did.
As well as it turned out for the Jets, it was still pretty ugly. This was Forte, and Forte fights his way just inside the 25, almost to the 23, where Jelani Jenkins makes the stop.
But you got to love it. You got to love a quarterback that's going to put it out there, and you know, sometimes it's, you know, with the number of interceptions he's had this year, you know, sometimes he forces it a little bit too much and it makes you scratch your head, and then he comes up with plays like that on 3rd and long where they're able to get themselves down near the red zone here.
Okay, you got to love it, but what do you think Todd Bowles' heart rate was?
As soon as he saw the one-handed catch, he felt much better about it.
2nd and 10. Fitzpatrick, little screen. This is Forte. And Forte will pick up about 5 to the 20. Let's look at your scouting report for Ryan Fitzpatrick for the day.
Well, it goes without saying how smart of a player he is. Obviously, everybody knows about the Harvard background, and he has a strong arm. He can make every throw you want. The one negative, he can be overly aggressive. Sometimes he tries squeezing things into too tight a coverage, or he tries forcing things. So that's something he needs to have under control here for the Jets to stay in this thing.
3rd and 5. Protection. Fitzpatrick throws this side, and that is complete. And inside the 15 to about the 12 is Bilal Powell.
Bilal Powell, the last couple years, has been their 3rd down back, and even with Matt Forte in the fold for the Jets, Powell has continued in that role. Great hands coming out of the backfield. You mentioned, Greg, that the Dolphins had the #1 third down defense in the league just on this drive alone. That's the third conversion. The first one by penalty, then that Fitzpatrick, I guess, magic you'd call it, and then the nice play by Bilal Powell.
First down for the Jets now at the Miami 13. 9:50 to play in the first. Fitzpatrick, quick pass, Marshall. Out of bounds at about the 5. Pushed out by Maxwell. Yeah, Maxwell and Marshall were trading quotes all week long.
Pleasantries. Yes, they were. We saw how that started off at the beginning of the game, and this will be something that we watch throughout the day because both are big physical players. They like to play physical. Fits right into playing AFC East football.
I think Maxwell got in the last word when he said, well, it just shows that I'm inside his head. 11th play of this 5.5-minute drive. 2nd and 2. Powell. Slow starting play. Didn't get much on it. Brought to a stop about the 5-yard line. 3rd and goal. And once again, Jelani Jenkins in on the tackle.
Good power in the middle of that defense by the Miami Dolphins. Getting pressure into the backfield, not allowing Powell to get going. Another 3rd down, Greg. We got Marshall and Maxwell one-on-one at the top of the screen here. No help over the top.
Looks his way, throwing on the slant, and he missed it. That looked to be a good 2 to 3 yards ahead of Brandon Marshall. He really had no chance of catching it.
There was some underneath coverage here. He's trying to throw it into that second window. Not able to get it in there. Abdul Quddus was the one underneath, and Brandon Marshall geared it down in that first window. Fitzpatrick was throwing it into the second window.
Here's Nick Folk. From 23 yards out. And the kick is good. Just under 8.5 minutes to play in the first quarter. The Jets with a 3-0 lead, and now the defense has to tangle with one of the best runners in the NFL, Jay Ajayi in the Miami offense. The New York Jets took the opening kickoff. 70 yards, 13 plays. In just over 6.5, and Nick Folk with a 23-yard field goal.
You and I, Greg, we were talking at the break just about there were 2 plays that were just so close that would have both been touchdowns, just not in complete timing. The long ball to Robbie Anderson and the slant to Brandon Marshall.
Jakeem Grant will not get a chance to run this one out, and touchback will have Miami starting at its 25-yard line, and there is number 23, Jay Ajayi, who will be in action momentarily. Welcome back, everyone. 3-0 Jets. Quarterback Ryan Tannehill looking really good the last several weeks. He will immediately point the finger to a reunified offensive line.
Well, and this is the 3rd game in a row that they've had all 5 of their starters together, and it's no coincidence that the last 2 games, over 200 yards rushing by Jay Ajayi.
Here's 23. He's going nowhere. Lost a couple of yards. Mike Pouncey missed the first 4 games of this season with a hip injury. The 3-time Pro Bowl center is the O-line anchor. And Ajayi has been spectacular. 204 yards rushing against the Steelers. 214 against Buffalo his last 2 outings. On 2nd and 12. Tannehill on the move. And throwing it wide open. He's got his man at the 35, and out of bounds is Dominique Jones, the tight end.
When you have the run game going the way that it is, a hard play fake will get that flow of that underneath coverage, that second level. And that's right where Jones is able to get. The linebacker is biting up, knowing the type of running attack they've been using with Ajayi. Jones taking advantage of it, and Tannehill with the accurate throw.
That's a 24-yard pickup and a first down out to the 47-yard line. Got the defense to jump.
zone infraction, number 92, defense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That's Leonard Williams, the second-year D lineman out of Southern Cal. The Jets defense, number 1 in the NFL against the run. Williams, his second season, has 6 sacks. At linebacker, steady and reliable David Harris. Inside, the 10-year veteran from Michigan. And Darrell Rivas, another 10-year veteran, still searching for his first interception in 2016. On 1st and 5, Ajayi. And he gets stacked up again as we check in for the first time today for an NFL Today update. JB.
A second Philly pick. That's right. Carson Wentz has thrown 2 interceptions. The Giants have come back and turned them right into touchdowns. This one to Roger Lewis Jr., the other one by Odell Beckham Jr. Giants lead 14-0. Back to Greg, Trent, and Jamie.
All right, guys, thank you. Meanwhile, I think it's officially gotten to be chippy out on the field. Buster Screen in the middle of it, and it's still going. There is the little hand-to-hand combat between Jarvis
After
Landry.
the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 41, defense, 15-yard penalty at the end of the play, first down.
So it is Buster Screen who is tabbed as the aggressor.
Oh, I don't know if I'd say the aggressor because he and Jarvis Landry were going at it. It was a pretty consistent battle there. It's just always the guy right there. That's what gets the flag. You saw the right hand go to the helmet of Jarvis Landry, but we showed the previous clip that started as soon as the snap of the ball. They were locked up and going at it pretty good.
In other words, with 6:45 to play in the first, so that's how it's going to be today.
It's officially on, right?
First down, Miami, the Jet 34. Already 20 yards in penalties against the Jets. Ajayi, and he is cut down back at the 40-yard line. Calvin Pryor, the first to hit him.
Well, you can understand why the Jets are first against the run in the National Football League. Jay Ajayi, 3 carries, all 3 have been for negative yards. They're dialed in. They don't want to be a statistic. They talked about that. They know there's a lot of hype coming into this game.
Now we have a flag down on the field at the 35.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, taunting, number 25, defense. That penalty will go towards disqualification. 15 yards, first down.
You know, I'll be willing to bet you Todd Bowles will have a thing or two to say about that because that's just stupid.
Well, and you see he had a thing to say the second he got off to the sideline there. It was, it's one thing to try and send a message, and that's what this defense is trying to do is send a message. It's another thing to cause your team a 15-yard penalty.
But that falls under the totally unnecessary.
It does, and it's a penalty towards ejection, so he has to be careful the rest of the game. Does Pryor. One more of those, he'll be going.
Rontez Miles replaces him in the secondary. On first down, Tannehill. That pass complete short of the 20-yard line and grabbed by Devontae Parker.
Well, that's 30 yards that the Dolphins have been able to pick up in penalty yards just on this drive alone. As I said, Ajayi hasn't had any positive rushing yards. All 3 carries have been for negative yards. The Jets defense is helping them out with those penalties.
On 2nd and 6, Ajayi again. And this time he finds room on the left side to the end zone for the touchdown.
Just a stretch zone. This is what they talked about. The 3 previous runs were negative. The Dolphins talked about we have to stick with it. We can't get away from the run because Jay Ajayi gets stronger as the game goes. He's going to stretch, and then he finds the lane, is able to break it and bounce it to the outside. Excellent job by the offensive line. You can see as they stay with their blocks, they get upfield, and we had that conversation with Jay Ajayi yesterday. When you get to that second level against linebackers and safeties, he's a punishing runner, but he also has the speed to be able to avoid and make them miss and get into the end zone.
Adam Gase, I thought it was a pretty good example there. Adam Gase says he has learned how to plant his foot and go.
And that's what you have to do with those zone blocks. When you're running the stretch zone run, you wait, you find that lane, and you have to be able to hit it. He's been able to do that.
Extra point attempt upcoming by Andrew Franks. And it's good. The Jets get a field goal. The Dolphins answer right back. Jay Ajayi with the rushing touchdown, his 6th on the season. Miami with a 7-3 lead.
7-3 Dolphins, just under 5 to play here in Miami. Jamie Erdahl with you. Members of the Miami Dolphins traveled to the Bahamas and Haiti during their bye week to assist in Hurricane Matthew relief efforts. Michael Thomas, his wife Gloria, and several executives visited the Bahamas on October 27th, while Terrence Fede was among the Dolphins players that visited Haiti on October 28th. They deliver medical supplies, building supplies, and generators. Now, this is specifically impactful for Fede as both of his parents are Haitian. He was born in New York. He still has family that lives there, and he said it was very eye-opening for several of his teammates, but he said it was a great trip and he'll definitely be back.
Jamie, thank you. And residents of South Florida had a little experience with Hurricane Matthew as it flew by. Dolphins have contributed $100,000 from their foundation to the recovery of those victimized by the storm. Through the end zone for the touchback, 4:56 to play. Fitzpatrick and the Jets offense back to work when we come back to Miami in just a moment. Back at Hard Rock Stadium, just under 5 minutes to play in the first. Got to drive a coach nuts, Trent. Todd Bowles saw his defense make several good plays, but then the Jets proceed to shoot themselves in the foot. 3 penalties for 35 yards. Movement on the offensive line.
Encroachment, number 93, defense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That penalty is on Sue, and you saw previously Marcus Williams, backup cornerback, being loaded onto a cart, be evaluated, and we'll check on him. So it's 1st and 5. This is Forte, and not very much running room. Let's talk about your keys to the game, Trent.
Well, first off, for the Jets, you have to stop Jay Ajayi, and they've done that the first 3 plays, but then he gets the big run for the touchdown, so you can't give up those big plays. Win the turnover battle, that's obvious. You talk to teams all around the league, they want to win the turnover battle, but it's especially strong for New York when you look at how their games have played out. Miami have to pressure Fitzpatrick. He will turn the ball over, and a big day from Tannehill. If the Jets are able to stop the run game, then Tannehill will have a big day.
We have more movement up front. This time it'll go against the Jets.
Number 68, offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
And you know, Greg, I give a lot of credit. This is our first time back in here since they have the roof on and the adjustments of the stadium. They've got it all complete, the outside part of it, and it really traps the noise in. It's made a big difference in the stadium. It's made a big difference in terms of the noise for the players on the field.
What? 2nd and 9, and here comes the noise. Fitzpatrick to the side, and that's complete. Robbie Anderson marked down at about the 36 or 37-yard line, but that'll be enough for a Jets first down. Robbie Anderson, a rookie free agent out of Temple University, and one of those guys that we always marvel at from one week to another, undrafted.
It's amazing. Every week you go around the league and you find different guys that are undrafted and making an impact on NFL rosters. And like Robbie Anderson, some are doing it as rookies.
Under 3.5 to play in the first. Forte. past the 40 to about the 41 where Kiko Alonso was waiting. Hey, a reminder for you, with NFL Mobile, stream live local Sunday afternoon primetime games and NFL Red Zone right on your mobile device. Learn more at NFL.com/mobile. So the line of scrimmage will be the 40, and it's 2nd and 6. Fitzpatrick, 6 out of 9, throwing for 53 yards so far. Gonna throw it again. Under pressure, loose ball, fallen on back at the 35 by Breno Giacomini. Cameron Wake was in for the hit. By the way, Trent, another undrafted guy, Cameron Wake.
He comes right around that right side and is able to put pressure immediately. You'd see Fitzpatrick, he tries stepping up, taking care of the ball, but then he winds up to throw, and as that wind-up begins, that's when they're able to knock the ball loose. Lucky, fortunate for the Jets to get the ball back.
Giacomini was in perfect position for the recovery because it was his guy who got past him to get to Fitzpatrick. 3rd and 12. That pass complete. Marshall looking for running room, doesn't find it, dragged down, and here's a flag. Andre Branch pulled him down. Was that a horse collar?
That's what it'll be. They've changed that rule now. It used to be you had to get inside the shoulder pads and yank them down. Now you can have a hold of the jersey.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle, number 50, defense. 15 yards, automatic first down.
Now it's the Dolphins' turn to shoot themselves in the foot, at least for the moment.
Well, the penalties keeping drive alive. We saw it just happen for the Dolphins and their drive, and this time reaching out, you see it doesn't get a hold. He doesn't get a hold of the shoulder pads. He gets a hold of the top of the jersey. Able to bring him down. Easy call for the officials.
So it's a Jets first down at their own 49. Fitzpatrick up the seam, and he's got his man incomplete now. Quincy Enunwa looked to have it for a moment, couldn't hold on.
We saw earlier in the game they hit Brandon Marshall up the seam with the cover 2 look. This time trying to do the same exact thing to Enunwa as he's running up the middle against Alonso, not able to bring it in.
Good job by Alonso reaching in and disengaging. Let's go down to Jamie.
Greg, a few minutes ago, we saw Jets cornerback Marcus Williams go back to the locker room. The team tells me he is questionable to return with an ankle injury.
All right, Jamie, thank you. 2nd and 10. Under pressure, he threw it up the middle, and he's got it. Close to the 30-yard line, Jalen Marshall with the catch. And boy, did Fitzpatrick get drilled as he let the ball go.
Well, Michael Thomas, the safety, was coming off the left slot unblocked. See, 2 defensive players come from that left side. Thomas isn't accounted for. See the hit Fitzpatrick takes. But able to stand in there long enough to get the first down.
20-yard pickup. And a first down at the 31. Forte, running room, left side, to the 10, the 5, touchdown.
The Dolphins made a commitment with a bunch of guys at the line of scrimmage. The linebackers took a step forward. You're going to see these guys all come forward and watch the lane here. There's a huge running lane for Forte to run through. When you bring that type of pressure up front, somebody had to be assigned to that lane. They had to be out of position. That's just unsound football if you leave a lane that open and allow them to gash you like that. Because when you make that kind of commitment from a defensive standpoint, you have to have all those lanes committed for.
Forte's 7th rushing touchdown of the season. Nick Folk with the extra point attempt, and it is perfect. And with 35 seconds to play here in the first quarter, the Jets retake the lead. Matt Forte, 31 yards to the end zone, 10-7 Jets. Matt Forte's 31-yard touchdown run capped a 75-yard drive in just under 4.5 minutes. Look at Matt Forte, who chalked up career touchdown rushing number 52. He's added another 20 of them on the receiving end.
He had an impressive career while he was spending time in Chicago. Nice pickup for the Jets being able to get him and bring him in. We talked about Bilal Powell already. Had an effect in this game with the third down conversion. Good combination with the two of them.
Jakeem Grant is deep. Jakeem Grant will not get a chance to return this one. And they'll start at the 25. Let's go back to that touchdown, Trent.
Well, first you're going to have Dakota Dozier as the extra lineman in here. He's coming in and playing tight end, but you've got all these players that have certain contain, and this is where it falls on, is right there, Donald Butler, because you're having the players come in. So right here, Dakota Dozier goes up to get the block on Butler, and Butler jumps to the inside. That allows the lane to open up for Matt Forte to go untouched into the end zone. It's that type of commitment as a linebacker. If you have your lanes, you can't pick a side. You have to square that guy up so that you can make a read off the run or force the running back to make that read.
So Ajayi behind Tannehill on first down at the 25. Short drop, quick slant, that's complete to Jarvis Landry. You know, Ajayi had 3 carries for a -8 yards before he busted his 20-yard touchdown. Matt Forte had 4 carries for 6 yards and then popped one for 31 in the touchdown.
Well, and that's why you talk to coaches about you have to stick with the run. Sometimes if you get into a pass mode because the run's not working, and you have to stick with it because occasionally as you wear it down, you all of a sudden pop one.
This is Ajayi, and Ajayi busting through to about the 43-yard line, and that will bring us to the end of the first quarter. Pretty good first quarter. 10-7 Jets. We're coming back to Hard Rock Stadium right after this, watching the NFL on CBS. Back at Hard Rock Stadium, which is, as you mentioned earlier, undergoing some renovations. You can always tell when a stadium is undergoing renovations. You and I walk around aimlessly for a while.
It's hard to figure out the new layout. That's right. They've done a nice job with it, though. It's pretty impressive.
2nd and 3, start of the second. This is Ajayi. A little slip in the backfield. And when all is said and done, it looks like he'll have a first down. Not too many people have run back-to-back 200 yards. O.J. Simpson did it twice. Earl Campbell did it back in 1980. And Ricky Williams, the Miami Dolphins, did it in 2002. And then these last 2 games, Jay Ajayi has done it. Now, those other guys, how close did they come to 200 their 3rd straight game? O.J. Simpson came the closest. He got 171.
180!
Tannehill trying to step up, throws, and that is caught. No, incomplete. Incomplete inside the 40-yard line. Jarvis Landry making the dive.
Ryan Tannehill showing good footwork, sliding in the pocket, pressure coming up the field. He's just going to buy time. You know, he's athletic enough. He's put together a heck of a resume with his rushing and rushing yards, but he's sliding to buy time here and takes a big hit. Williams down low around his legs. That could have been ugly after taking the hit up top again from Wilkerson.
We saw a lot of rollout passes at their walkthrough yesterday morning. Breaking through on this side is Damian Williams, and Williams inside. See where they'll mark him down. Inside the 30 at about the 29.
Williams working that right side of the line. Most of the effective runs for the Dolphins today have come to the left. This time running to the right behind James and Bushrod. Able to rip through that arm tackle before dragging defenders for a couple extra yards.
This Jet defense, number 1 in the NFL against the run, allowing just 74 yards a game on the average. Quick pass, he can throw it. Landry looking, throws, and underthrew his intended receiver at the 10. That was Marquise Gray.
Well, I know he's mad. He's sitting there screaming and yelling, but he made a good decision throwing that ball away. A lot of quarterbacks would try forcing that in there. This is a backward throw, so you can make it a double throw. Ends up being a lateral.
You think he threw that ball away?
I do. He was screaming at Gray to come back at a different angle and try and come back to the football. Now he knows the frustration of a quarterback.
Damian Williams in the backfield on 2nd and 10. Williams with the handoff, going to try the right side again, and nothing doing this time. Muhammad Wilkerson with first contact.
Well, Wilkerson with the first contact, but Pryor cleaning it up with the big hit up top.
So now 3rd and 9 for Tannehill. Looks like the Dolphins are sure to eclipse that 74-yard allowed average by the Jets. Tannehill going to loft this one down the sideline. It's complete to Williams, and Williams out of bounds at about the 9. It'll be 1st and goal.
Williams is coming out of the backfield. He's right here. But what you have is these guys, they're all on a blitz. So all he's doing is running a shoot route up the sidelines. He's matched up with a defensive end outside linebacker trying to peel and go up the side. That's just a matchup. That's a dream matchup. If you're a quarterback, it's just a matter of having the time to get the ball off, laid perfectly over the outside shoulder by Tannehill, giving him 1st and goal.
Good job by Ryan Tannehill. Ajayi back in the lineup. Ajayi with the football. And nothing there. It'll be 2nd and goal.
Well, and when we talked about the frustrations of the defense with Todd Bowles yesterday, and he just said, this defense, it's just all of a sudden a play here and a play there. And if you look at this throughout this first quarter and a little bit of the second, is they've done a good job stopping the run game, and then all of a sudden a big run. Then they've done a good job, and then a big run, and then you get a big pass. It's too much of that, and that's where he said the frustration lies. And even with the pass game being last in the National Football League, he said for the most part we're doing a good job. It's just those big plays that have hurt us all year.
On 2nd and goal, Tannehill going to throw it back this way. Nice grab made by Landry. Landry to about the 2, maybe the 1. Marcus Gilchrist losing his helmet on the way. That ball underthrown by Tannehill, and Landry saving it right there.
Incredible catch, incredible fingertip catch prior to that ball hitting the turf, and change of direction with the motion by Landry allowed him to get that wide open.
Landry gets his congrats on the sideline. 3rd and goal from the 1. Ajayi alongside Tannehill. And Tannehill going to throw for it to the near side. Caught at the corner of the end zone. Touchdown. Dominique Jones.
Well, they lined up in big personnel. Jones was initially lined up in the tight end or traditional tight end spot. All touchdowns are reviewed, so they'll try and decide if his feet were in bounds. If that second foot gets down, see one. The second one hits before it slides out of bounds. That'll stay a touchdown. But as soon as they did the shift and they moved out into space, and Jones was matched up on the rookie Jordan Jenkins, Tannehill knew right away that's where he was going.
Trent, this is a bonus for Ryan Tannehill. Production out of tight end position. They've lost Jordan Cameron for the season. Deion Sims inactive. Dominique Jones has made 2 big catches today so far.
Coming into this, we were talking about how they don't really use the tight end as a weapon. And when you have a Kenny Stills and a Jarvis Landry and a Devontae Parker, when you have 3 deep at wide receiver, and then you have Jay Ajayi in the backfield, you don't necessarily have to rely on the tight end. And the Dolphins haven't done much with the tight end all year, but coming up big today.
They are still reviewing this play, so we're going to take a break and come back.
You're going to see a little bit of the ball move as it squirts right through, but he secures it while his feet are still in bounds. I don't think they overturn this.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
It's important to say the ruling on the field stands. He didn't confirm it. He said it stands. It wasn't enough to get them to change their minds.
Dominique Jones with his first receptions of the season and his first touchdown catch. And Andrew Franks now for the extra point. Well, think about each team, Trent, has scored on each possession they've had. We have a bit of a seesaw going here. 14-10 Miami. Back in South Florida, 10:16 to play in the first half of what has been a very offensive game, with the Dolphins leading it by a score of 14-10. C.J. Spiller is deep for the Jets in the end zone. This one's returnable. A yard deep in the end zone. And Spiller out across the 20 to about the 22-yard line. Well, Jets have confirmed to us from the sideline that number 96, Muhammad Wilkerson, and 91, Sheldon Richardson, neither of them played in the first quarter. They didn't enter the game until the second quarter, and that sounds, you and I were just speculating, that's all we can do because we haven't had any confirmation, but thinking that sounds disciplinary. It's not injury related.
Yeah, they came out and said it wasn't injury related, and they haven't shared with us what was said or what was done to cause that to happen.
So the Jets down 4 with the ball now at their own 22. Fitzpatrick throws. That is complete and out to about the 28-yard line. Brandon Marshall on the receiving end.
Moving a little gingerly after catching that quick slant to the outside as Alonso made the tackle.
And is going to go to the sideline. You know, he always was Ryan Fitzpatrick's go-to guy more than anyone else, and even more so now with Eric Decker out. 2nd and 4. Over the middle. That's complete. Breaking free is Jalen Marshall. Marshall close to midfield for a first down. Bobby McCain with the tackle for Miami.
This is just a matter of sitting in the zone. This is just a matter of sitting in the zone. He's going to come up and he's going to sit down right in between the 2 linebackers. Fitzpatrick puts the ball on the money. As you see Alonso and Jenkins collide together, knocking each other off the tackle.
We have a stop in the action as they take a look at linebacker Jelani Jenkins, who has been in on a few stops today. But here is Brandon Marshall as he limped off the field. And Marshall is now back onto the field.
Jenkins the one being attended to after the collision with Alonso.
So they'll look at Jenkins on the sideline, and meanwhile it's a first down for the Jets at their own 49. Jenkins is replaced by Neville Hewitt. Play fake to Forte. Fitzpatrick going to keep it and slide at the 47-yard line.
You're very gracious in describing that as a slide. We've thought this has been going on for years with Ryan Fitzpatrick and his lack thereof in his ability to slide. And just watch as he goes to the ground here. It's almost like he just puts it's kind of like a half slide roll. You know, he's trying not to get his cleat stuck in the ground.
Slide is just the closest thing that we can come to calling
That's
it.
exactly right.
On 2nd and 5, he gives us to Forte, and Forte spinning his way through to about the 41-yard line. It looks like it'd be about, let's see, depending on where it's placed, it might be a first down. A reminder for you, Matt LeBlanc stars in the new comedy Man with a Plan. Don't miss a new episode tomorrow after Kevin Can Wait, right here on CBS. This looks like it's about a half-yard short of a first down.
Well, to be honest with you, Greg, I think this is 4-down territory. I know it's early in the game and the way the game's going, but I think if they don't get it and they don't lose yardage, they would go for it here on 4th down. So don't be surprised if they throw the ball here knowing they could go for it on 4th down.
Oh, they're going to look for Forte to get it. He's got that, and then some. To the 30, 25, 20, and knocked out of bounds at about the 12. Now they're going to mark him out at about the 10, but Matt Forte picking up the first down and then some.
Not the same type of pressure or the same type of front that the Dolphins showed on the big touchdown run by Forte, but once again, having that many guys near the line of scrimmage trying to come up, that's when a big play can happen, and that's what you get guys trapped inside, or you get guys trapped to the outside to give them a lane. Forte taking advantage of it once again, his second big run of the day.
32-yard pickup for Forte. He's replaced by Bilal Powell.
See Marshall and Maxwell, see him waving down here at the bottom.
Fitzpatrick, this one blown dead.
That's not
Full
real.
start, number 67, offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That penalty on Brian Winters.
That's not real subtle by Brandon Marshall. He's just getting his arm in the air, waving like, hey, I'm one-on-one out here.
Just to remind you, coming up, the Verizon Halftime Report. JB and the guys back in New York with scores, highlights, and a preview of Thursday Night Football on the NFL Network, all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. But backs the Jets up now to the 15-yard line, where it's first and goal. Bilal Powell and C.J. Spiller are in. Spiller flanked to the near side as a receiver. Fitzpatrick throwing this side. Powell inside the 10 and bumped out of bounds by Spencer Pasinger. So they get a chunk of it back. He marked out at about the 8-yard line. It'll be second and goal from the 8. Let's go down to Jamie.
Greg, earlier in the series, we saw Dolphins linebacker Jelani Jenkins be helped off the field. He just went to the locker room. He's being evaluated for a hand injury, and he is questionable to return.
Thank you, Jamie. Ball is at about the 7.5-yard line. Fitzpatrick, 11 of 15 for 107 yards throwing. On the slant, Marshall to about the 3. Brought down by Byron Maxwell. And that was Isa Abdul-Quddus making like Superman flying over the pile.
Quick one-step slant by Marshall. Instead of going inside, he tries to spin and get back outside. Excellent tackle by Maxwell.
That's Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins. Third and goal. Forte back in the lineup. Fitzpatrick going to throw for it over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Enunwa and batted away by Bobby McCain.
Enunwa just working the right slot against McCain. Man-to-man across the board.
That looked like it was never there, Trent.
I don't know. It almost looked like maybe he got tipped there by Sue. As you saw, the ball appeared to change directions or have a little wobble to it, a tail to it.
Nick Folk.
Well, I'm going to say Azunumwu took a bad angle on that. He took too high upfield.
From 21 yards out, the kick is good. 5:20 to play, first half. 14-13, Miami. Just under 5 minutes to play in the first half. The Jets go 75 yards in 9 plays and get the field goal from Nick Folk. You know, if the punters knew they could take the day off, they could have slept in a little bit, even with the extra hour's sleep.
Yeah, I tell you what, when I was playing, it was I always got mad when the punters had a big day. It means we weren't doing our job, weren't getting points. So both offenses, I'm sure, are fine with their punters just resting the rest of the day.
Shaquem Grant deep. And he will not, he will run it out. About 7 yards deep. 15, 20. Full head of speed and across the 25 to about the 28-yard line. Rontez Miles made the stop. Well, in the first quarter, 91 and 96. Big guys indeed. Muhammad Wilkerson, Sheldon Richardson did not play in the first quarter. We're still searching for the reason why, but they did come on to play in the second quarter. And you're not talking about two insignificant defensive guys.
No, those are both former first-round picks, both guys that have had huge impacts on their team, huge impacts on the other team, not having them on the field. The Dolphins obviously scored 7 points in that first quarter.
Ajayi for about a yard, maybe a yard and a half, and a penalty marker.
I think they're going to get Sheldon Richardson here. A little extra after the play. Leonard Williams appears to be the
That looks like Steve McClendon.
McClendon, yeah, sorry about that.
The nose tackle.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 91, defense, 15 yards from the end of the play, first down.
Sheldon Richardson. And if he's getting lectured by Calvin Pryor, that doesn't feel right, does it?
Yeah, that's the third big penalty now. 3 penalties for 45 yards.
And there's the reason for the penalty right there.
Well, that'll be a chunk out of his paycheck after the league sees that.
Third personal foul of the day against the Jets. Ajayi. Update time. Let's get back to New York. JP and Boomer.
Cruz's 46 receiving yards helped lead to this. How about this? Eli Manning, 3 touchdown passes on the day, 2 to Odell Beckham Jr. That second one right there takes a 21-10 lead over the Eagles. That was on 2nd and goal, a 1-yard TD to OBJ. Back to the always energetic Greg Gumbel.
Not always, JB.
14-13 ball games you are.
Yeah. 2nd and 11. Tannehill got it away, sideline, complete to Kenny Stills. And Stills out of bounds right at that first down marker.
Well, Leonard Williams put a huge hit on Ryan Tannehill, beat Jermon Bushrod up the field. Tannehill standing in there and just taking a shot. Stills with a fingertip catch. Able to get the first down, but that's a good 300-plus landing on top of you. Good job by Tannehill standing there making the throw.
3:45 to play in the first half. Ajayi again. What the Dolphins have done with the football. Trent, when you've got a guy running the football the way Ajayi has the last couple of times out, and you go up against the #1 run defense, who gets the advantage?
Well, it's easy to think we're going to go away from the run and we're just going to throw the ball. We're going to have Tannehill throw the ball 50 times in the game, and that would be a disservice to Ajayi and the offensive line of the Dolphins. You have to stick with it because, as we saw, you can all of a sudden break a big one.
This is Damian Williams, and Williams isn't going anywhere against the Jet front line. Sheldon Richardson led that charge. And yet, Adam Gase was very much looking forward to the matchup because he says what the Dolphins do, the Jets defense is perfect to do or to try to do against.
Well, and the reason he said that, even though they are the #1 rush defense, the reason it's an advantage to him is because against Pittsburgh and Baltimore, the last two teams the Jets have played, they run similar types of defenses where that strict zone run can work, where you stretch it, find your lane, and then hit the hole. And they had a couple big runs, but for the most part, the Jets have held them in check.
3rd and 9, and Tannehill to throw. And had to throw it away.
And what I mean by holding them in check is 13 rush attempts for 49 yards, but 43 of the 49 yards have come on 2 runs. So the Jets have done a solid job stopping them. It's just those big chunks, those 2 big chunk runs that have gotten them.
Trent, there's a punter sighting on the field.
Were they here today? Did they show up?
Matt Darr in his 2nd season out of Tennessee. And Jalen Marshall is deep for the Jets. High and short. And he lost it at the 10-yard line. And he was surrounded by Dolphins. Let's see who came up with it.
Well, he got it back unless something happens at the bottom of that pile, because he scooped it up pretty quick with that left hand. But all kinds of strange things happen
at the bottom of the pile.
At the bottom of the pile.
Could have been disastrous for the Jets. Jalen Marshall covered it at the 10. 2:07 to play in the first half. Right through his arms, and then he fell. Eventually got it. In what has been a pretty entertaining football game on the first half. The Jets, 70 yards and a field goal, 75 and a touchdown, 75 and a field goal. And with 2:07 to play, they start from their own 11-yard line. Bilal Powell for not very much, out to about the 13, where Spencer Pasinger makes the stop, and that brings us to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play here at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. It's the Dolphins by 1. This is the NFL on CBS. Welcome back, Trent. I guess if you're looking for offensive balance, you can't do much better than what the Jets have done so far today.
Yeah, it's been pretty impressive what they've been able to put together, and that's really when you keep a defense on their heels. I've always been a big fan of that, finding some balance. I know there's been a lot of teams around the league having success doing nothing but throwing, but you always have an advantage, I think, when you keep the defense guessing.
Jets have had to deal with 60 yards in penalties so far here in the first half. Fitzpatrick to throw. Ball popped up in the air. Penalty marker is down as the Jets cover it. And we have a full-scale discussion, although the preliminary looks to be holding against the Jets.
Holding, number 68, offense. That penalty's declined. We have a fumble that went forward and recovered by a different player. We'll put the ball back to the spot of the fumble.
So Cameron Wake started it all with the hit.
Well, and he's working against Giacomini coming off that right side of Ryan Fitzpatrick. You see the chop there with the left arm of Cameron Wake that causes the ball to come loose. I've watched this matchup several times. We've highlighted it a few times when Cameron Wake's been able to beat him in one-on-one. It's not like the Jets aren't trying to chip or help with a tight end or a running back. It's just you can't do it every down. You have to be able to get some guys out, and Wake's been able to take advantage of it so far today.
So now 3rd and 15 from their own 6-yard line. Gonna give it to Powell. Powell running room left side. And out of bounds at about the 13-yard line. That'll be well short of a first down. And now we will get the Jets punter. A reminder, coming up, the Verizon Halftime Report. JB and the guys standing by for all the scores and highlights and a preview of Thursday Night Football on the NFL Network, all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. So Lachlan Edwards will get his first chance to kick today.
Well, and this should be good field position for the Dolphins, who have all their timeouts here before the end of the half.
Jakeem Grant is back. And Grant inside the 40 with the penalty marker down. Grant trying to shift gears and will be brought down at about the 46-yard line. Now let's check the flag.
Usually when you see it on that part of the field, it's the outside bullet coverage, either running while out of bounds, so not getting back in the field of play, or on the return team not allowing them to get back in the field of play. See everybody pointing back that way along the Miami Dolphins sideline.
And all the conversation seems to be happening with the Dolphins, which has to be bad news for Todd Bowles. Here's Walt Coleman.
There are fouls on both teams. We have a player going out of bounds on his own on the kicking team, number 17. We have a holding on number 30 on the receiving team. Those penalties will offset and we'll re-kick. Fourth down.
So the teams will go all the way back to the other end again.
This will be, he's just going to run straight out of bounds on his own. But watch as he tries to get back across the field. Let's see if we can pick up where the holding is. All that, and here we go again.
Lachlan Edwards doubling up on his punt attempts here in the first half. Almost the same distance. Grant at the 42, right up the middle. To the outside. Penalty marker flies. And down the sideline to the end zone for a touchdown. Now let's check the flag. "57 yards if it stands," but it doesn't appear it's going to stand.
During the return, the illegal block at the back, number 32 of the return team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
It was right up here.
Jakeem Grant, expressway to the end zone, only it doesn't count. Jakeem Grant had a 57-yard touchdown called back because of a block in the back by Kenyon Drake. And Drake, number 32. And so the Dolphins, instead of having 6 or 7 more on the board, will start from their own 36 with 1:19 to play.
Always love those conversations on the sideline. They're like, it wasn't me. They called the wrong number. Well, it wasn't me. Hey, they didn't call me out. So.
Tannehill got rid of it and caught by Ajayi out of the backfield. Nice job of catching the football thrown just behind him. Hey, a reminder, Tuesday, America Votes for President. CBS News is your place for results. Award-winning original reporting, expert analysis, live nationwide. Morning, evening, and primetime, Election Day, Tuesday, only CBS. Tannehill. Got rid of it. Once again, Ajayi, stiff arm, and out of bounds at about the 45-yard line.
Well, that's a heck of a stiff arm by Ajayi to get out of bounds. It saves the timeout. But more importantly, they need to get this third down conversion to keep this drive going. And for the Jets, you need to stop them.
.48 seconds to play here in the first half. We have not called Darrelle Revis' name once today. Tannehill going to the far side to deliver a message personally. Looking left, throws Ajayi once again, and Ajayi out of bounds at about the 35. 43 on the clock.
This is just a simple two receivers to your left running inside routes. Ajayi coming out of the backfield to the left flat. It appears the two outside players are playing man-to-man coverage, and the linebacker on the inside who is lined up over Ajayi doesn't run with them in man-to-man, so miscommunication there by the Jets defense.
Andrew Frank's longest field goal this season is 41 yards. Need a 10-yard pickup to reach his target line. Tannehill got rid of it. That's caught. And down at the 35-yard line is Jarvis Landry. We have penalty marker in the backfield.
Well, it could be another 15 yards for the Jets, driving Tannehill into the ground.
We have fouls on both teams. Illegal use of hands, hands in the face, number 70 on the offense. Personal foul, rubbing the passer, number 53. Defense, those penalties will all set. Repeat, first down.
So the Miami penalty is on right tackle Jawan James, and Mike Catapano, the Jets linebacker, guilty. That looked more like Julian Stanford.
It was Julian Stanford. Now in the right hand here, this is where the hands of the face had already happened initially coming off the line of scrimmage.
Hey, Trent, much was made of the explosion in the locker room that Todd Bowles had against Cleveland last week. What do you think he's going to say about penalties at halftime today?
He's not going to be real happy with the penalties. And there was a lot made about what he said, but we learned yesterday there was a lot said by the players as well.
That pass to the outside. And this is Damian Williams, and he's cut down at the 45-yard line, and there's a quick timeout with a half a minute to play here in the first half. Andrew Franks hoping to get a chance to put 3 more at least on the board for the Dolphins. Miami with 2 timeouts remaining and 30 seconds on the clock, looking at a 2nd and 9. Tannehill 4 out of 4 throwing on this drive. Under pressure, and he goes down inside his own 45-yard line. 20 seconds and the clock is running. Lorenzo Malden and Josh Martin combining. And they look like they're just going to let the time expire here in the first half.
That's a sack by committee there, Greg.
So we come to the end of the first half. Pretty entertaining. Head coaches are never satisfied, but Adam Gase and his Dolphins walk off with a 1-point lead. End of the first half. The Dolphins by 1, 14-13 in a game both teams need. We're back with the Verizon Halftime Report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
And we gon' live it up.
Ajayi
So give me
again.
the green light.
This time he finds room on the left side to the end zone for the touchdown. Forsay throw for it to the near side. Caught at the corner of the end zone. Touchdown. Plenty of touchdowns in the first half. Both sides. 14-13, Miami in the lead as we get set for the third quarter. Shoulders of Greatness highlight of the first half brought to you by Head and Shoulders. I don't know how this is going to play in the film room tomorrow, but Ryan Fitzpatrick flipping to Bilal Powell, and somehow they managed to survive that. 2-game winning streaks on the line for both sides here. 14-13 Miami. Greg Gumbel along with Trent Green. You said it as soon as we went to break at halftime. One of the more entertaining first halves we've seen.
It has been very entertaining if you're into offensive football. The defenses came up big at the end of the half, forcing punts, but we had no punts until 2 minutes before halftime. So both offenses running well. There's a lot of balance on both teams. They're both running the football effectively. That was something that we had some concerns with if you're the Miami Dolphins coming in here with Jay Ajayi, the hottest running back in the league, but able to get some good yardage going against this top defense.
As you look at the stats in the first half, it would seem to me that both offenses probably are fairly happy with what they've done in the first half. Jets have to eliminate some penalties, but you would think that the adjustments at halftime would be defensively.
Well, I would think the same thing, Greg, and I think offensively you would have to be happy with it. There are some concerns with pass protection as the game was moving on. Yes, quarterbacks were very efficient. If you look at Ryan Fitzpatrick, 12 of 17. Ryan Tannehill, 11 of 13. So both have been very efficient, haven't turned the football over, but as this game progressed, as that first half progressed, the defenses were able to get more pressure on them.
Miami gets the football here in the second half. That's Jakeem Grant deep for the Dolphins. He had a 57-yard punt return called back. And this low line drive kick will roll into and through the end zone. Down there for a touchback, and we go down to Jamie.
Greg, thank you. That big storyline out of the first half for the Jets, the fact that we didn't see their two defensive linemen, Muhammad Wilkerson and Sheldon Richardson, play at all in the first quarter. When I spoke to Todd Bowles going into the half, he gave me in as many words, it was a coach's decision. Now for the Dolphins, Jelani Jenkins, I just saw him in the back. He's got a cast on his left hand. The Dolphins also added he was being evaluated for a concussion.
All right, Jamie, thank you.
That's the answer. I appreciate you asking the question, but I'm not going to give you an answer. Coach's decision.
This is Damian Williams starting in the backfield here in the second half. We have a penalty marker right off the bat.
Illegal formation on the offense. Number 88 covered up the tight end. That penalty declined. Second down.
Take a look at the Jet defense so far. The number one defense against the run.
Well, they've been very fair. First three rushes for Jay Ajayi were negative rushing yardage, and for the most part, they've kept him in check. Only 26 yards rushing on 10 attempts, and he did have the one long run of 20 for a touchdown. So for the most part, they've kept him in check.
Ajayi flanked to the far side of the field as a wide receiver. Tannehill throws this side, and that is complete to Devontae Parker. There is Ajayi. 26 yards in the first half today. That is not a good start on the way to 200.
No, it's not, and that's kind of what you expected against this Jet defense. And where the balance of the rushing comes from is with Damian Williams picking up 24 yards rushing. He had a big 23-yard run on third down that moved the Dolphins down into scoring position.
3rd and 5. Tannehill flips it far side. This is Kenyon Drake out of the backfield, and Drake has a first down. Let's check in with Jamie.
Greg, something to add on the Miami Dolphins wide receiver Kenny Stills. Haven't seen him come out of the locker room yet. The team says that's because he's questionable to return with an illness.
All right, Jamie, thank you.
Well, and that would be a big loss for them, Greg, because he's one of the speed guys that they have that can really get up the field and push the secondary.
Ajayi, except for that TD run, really hasn't been able to bust it against this Jet front line.
Well, there's a pride factor. You know, when you talk about the Jets defense, yeah, they come in the #1 rush defense, but all you hear about for the week leading up to it, Jay Ajayi and his 200 yards, his back-to-back games and those kinds of things, it's a matter of pride for him as well.
And the Dolphins told us he's such a humble young man. He didn't want to take any of the credit for it. He wants to make sure his linemen are given a bunch of the credit.
Yeah, he was great to talk with yesterday, and just to see where he's coming from mentally. He turned down a bunch of requests because he's like, I don't want the focus to be on me. I want the focus to be on the offense. So he's handled things very well.
Ajayi again and again tripped up, and this time it's Leonard Williams.
Leonard Williams just getting right by Pouncey right off the snap, getting into the backfield.
You know, when Adam Gase says that, yeah, we're not going to change anything going after this New York Jet front line, it's just that the Jets have better football players up there than most people do.
Yeah, they're pretty stacked. I don't think there's an argument around the league with the talent they have on their front.
On 3rd and 10, Tannehill with time. All kinds of time. On the move, throws, and that's incomplete on the sideline. Intended for Jarvis Landry. And Marcus Gilchrist batted it down. That'll bring on the punting unit.
Great job of coverage down the field. Nowhere for Tannehill to go with this ball. Watch the receivers. They're all going to be flowing in this direction. They're all going to be coming back. But there's nowhere for Tannehill to go with the ball. They rush 3, and then they green dog the other 2 defenders, which means they're coming up to check the running backs. If they block, then they're going to go ahead and try and rush. If they go out to a route, they're going to peel off with them. So the number of defenders they dropped into coverage didn't allow anybody open for Tannehill.
Jalen Marshall brings it back just across the 25-yard line. 3 years I've worked with you, I have never heard you say green dog. We're going to have a talk.
All right.
11 and a half to play here in the 3rd quarter. Dolphins by 1. Jets with the ball at their own 27-yard line. You see, second half has been big for the Jets their last 2 games, outscoring their opponents 34-8 in games that they ended up winning. Matt Forte in the backfield with Fitzpatrick. Forte with the handoff. And Forte diving forward. You know, Matt Forte, all the talk coming into this game was Jay Ajayi, and rightly so, but Forte has done more than his share carrying the load for the Jets.
Well, he was such a dynamic back for the Bears and able to catch the ball out of the backfield, utilize him as a rusher and a receiver. The Jets were fortunate to get him. This is somewhere he wanted to go. You see the 8 rush attempts, 80 yards, that 10-yard average. Yes, he does have a big run of 32 yards, but he's been able to grind it away all day.
Forte again. Brought to a stop just as he crossed the 35-yard line. It'll be 3rd and about 1.5 to 2 yards.
And Greg, one of the reasons when we talked to Matt about his decision in picking the Jets when he was a free agent is he felt this team was in position to win. And I know they've had their struggles so far this year, but if you look at the weapons they had on offense, the guys they have on the offensive line, he felt good about the receivers. He felt like he could come in and complement this offense a lot.
And when Matt starts to talk about his diet, then we all feel bad.
He's much more disciplined than we are, that's for sure.
3rd and 1. Fitzpatrick, incomplete, intended for Forte, and Kiko Alonso batted that one down, and I could be wrong, Trent, but Forte did not look open.
No, they shifted him out of the backfield. They moved him outside. Once he saw the isolation one-on-one with Kiko Alonso, they just were running him on a drag route. The other 2 inside receivers cleared out. I'm not sure if there was a progression there. If, listen, this is what it is on short yardage. We're going to clear the guys out in man-to-man and make the throw. Alonso with a great stop.
Jakeem Grant back at his own 20. Fair catch called for and made at his own 29-yard line with 10:01 to play in the 3rd. Tannehill and company back onto the field.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Marmot. Fall in love with the outside. And by T-Mobile. Switch to the network built for unlimited data.
Back at Hard Rock Stadium, 14-13, Miami in the lead. These quarterbacks, take a look and see how they've done today.
Well, there's been a lot of criticism for Ryan Fitzpatrick, rightfully so, because of the interceptions, but he's doing a good job of controlling that today and putting his team in position here. And you see what Ryan Tannehill's done. Very efficient on his part as well.
Stretching to hand it off to Ajayi, and Ajayi still not much traction against this #1 ranked run defense in the NFL of the Jets. Week 9 continues later today on CBS, and for some of you on Fox, and tonight with Sunday Night Football on NBC. Tune in tomorrow for Monday Night Football on ESPN. That stretch play was always a favorite of Peyton Manning's, among others.
It's a good play. If you can get your line, it's not required that your line pushes bodies downfield. It's more you get a body on a body and you try and create lanes and let the running back pick the spot he wants to go.
Quick pass near side. That's Landry. Landry ducks a tackler, dodges another, and across the 40 and out of bounds at about the 43-yard line. That will be a Miami first down.
Quick throw to the outside by Ryan Tannehill, and from that point on, it's all Jarvis Landry with the speed and then the quick stop and start. Just the one-step hits, get the ball in their hands quick, get the ball in your playmakers' hands quickly.
This one will go against the Dolphins. Or
Brandon Albert rocked back on his heels.
Yeah,
but
that's what I thought.
It's a matter if they think Sheldon Richardson flinched and caused him to do it.
And you know it's Brandon Albert because he's the one doing the arguing.
Neutral zone infraction, number 91 defense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
They're going to hit Sheldon Richardson with it. Todd Bowles doesn't buy it.
Yeah, it's up on the top of the screen there, or to the right of the screen. See, Richardson takes a step upfield, and that causes Albert to rock back on his heels.
This is Ajayi, and Ajayi with some running room. Across midfield and down at about the 47-yard line.
Well, Darryl Roberts comes up on the outside and forces Ajayi to cut it back in. I thought for a minute there with that speed he was going to get it around the edge, and excellent job by Roberts forcing it inside.
Of course, he's got the track record of the last couple of games to show it, but Ajayi, you feel he's like a ticking time bomb. He's just looking for a little opening.
Well, they talked to us about that he can wear teams down, and by the third into the fourth quarter, his stamina is good enough that he's been able to take advantage of it.
This is Ajayi getting a first down and more inside the 40. And let's get an update from the guys in New York. James Brown, Boomer Esiason.
Eagles have had ample opportunities. JB, it's been a crazy game. Eagles make a ton of mistakes, but to start the second half, they come out, run the ball right down the field. Kenyon Bonner with a 3-yard touchdown run. They close the gap to the Giants. Giants still lead 21-17. All right, back to Greg Gumbel.
All right, JB, thank you. The Dallas Cowboys in charge in the NFC East, and the Giants trying to close the gap a little bit. Ryan Tannehill on first down, throws complete and hit immediately is Marquise Gray, the tight end. Talked about how short-handed these Dolphins are at tight end. Once again, Jordan Cameron out for the season.
Well, and his backup Deion Sims isn't active today either. He's injured and missing this game. So normally a team that doesn't utilize the tight ends a lot, you take a look at Dominique Jones right there, has a couple of catches, including the touchdown. They're finding ways to use the tight end today.
Ajayi again, and look at the cutback. Inside the 25 to the 21 and a first down.
Ajayi taking off to his left, our right, able to find a crease and just cut back. We talked about the zone blocking. Just get a body on a body and let the running back use his vision. Here he sees it, gets up to that next level. That's 2 good runs back-to-back for Jay Ajayi.
And Miami at the 20-yard line with another first down. 26 yards for Ajayi in the first half, 27 rushing on this drive. He steps aside, Damian Williams in the backfield, and that one tipped at the line of scrimmage and falls incomplete. Looked like a little bubble screen trying to form for Devontae Parker.
They had a couple guys coming upfield. Watch Richardson, he comes upfield, is able to get that left hand up, tip it away at the last second.
So it'll be 2nd and 10. This is Damian Williams up the middle and pushes the pile forward for about 5 to the 15. And it'll be 3rd and 5.
I know you mentioned this earlier in the first half, Greg, but the fact that we haven't said Darrelle Revis's name at all in this game, I'm surprised the Dolphins haven't tried going after him, at least test it a little bit. If you look at the success that the Browns had a week ago, just have avoided him all day. Really hasn't been involved in any plays.
5 wide for the Dolphins on 3rd and 5. Tannehill, incomplete. Fans want a flag, there is none. That was Calvin Pryor covering the tight end Marquise Gray.
See the timing of this. It's a good no call there. Ball appeared to be arriving about the same time the contact was made. And even if he had caught the ball, it was going to be for no gain. It was right along the line of scrimmage.
So Andrew Franks will line up a 33-yard field goal attempt, and it is good. 5:08 to play in the 3rd quarter. And the Dolphins extend to a 17-13 lead. 5:08 to play in the 3rd. The Jets about to go back on offense. They're going to need to sustain some offense because their last 2 drives have been 3 and outs. And we've seen conversations on the sideline between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Brandon Marshall, and Fitzpatrick told us, yeah, you know, number 15 wants the football.
And he's always open.
C.J. Spiller will not run it out of the end zone. The touchback means the Jets will start at their own 25-yard line. There is Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's got to jumpstart the offense. The Jets are down 4.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by USAA, the official military appreciation sponsor of the NFL, and by Cialis.
And that's how some of us roll here in South Florida, Trent.
I was going to say, didn't you say you wanted to try doing that?
I never said that. The Jets with 8 first downs in the first quarter. They've only had 2 since then. Fitzpatrick on first down. Intercepted at the 30-yard line to the 20, 15. Jordan Phillips, 6'6", 335 pounds, leaping over the opponent.
This is the biggest hurdler you've ever seen in your life right here coming up with this interception. And Jordan Phillips showing great athleticism. He's right here in the middle. He's just going to drop out into coverage. They end up rushing 3. Takes 1 step forward and just drops right into the zone. You can see where Ryan Fitzpatrick, his eyes were to his right, watching the receiver, watching that window the whole way. He doesn't anticipate a defensive tackle dropping out from the left right into that space, and as I said, the biggest hurdler you'll ever see.
12th interception thrown by Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's the most in the National Football League. From the 14. Tannehill throwing complete inside the 10 to the 8 is Marquise Gray. That's only the 4th pick of the season by the Miami Dolphins.
Well, and if you think of the job that Vance Joseph has done, they've tried to change things up with their pressure. They've brought secondary players. They brought linebackers. It's cost them earlier with the big run by Forte for the touchdown because they had all those guys up at the line of scrimmage. That time only rushing 3 and tricking or confusing Ryan Fitzpatrick with the defensive tackle dropping underneath.
Ajayi in the backfield. Ajayi with the handoff. Right side. Forward progress will be marked at about the 6-yard line. And in Fitzpatrick's defense, I mean, you don't expect that as a quarterback.
No, you don't. And your read is on that. What it was a zone read. So he had 2 linebackers. He knew his receiver was going to sit down between it. So what you're trying to do is work your eyes on those 2 linebackers to try and get them to freeze so they don't come over and cover the guy that you want to throw to. So you're not anticipating that. That's why you got to give the credit to Joseph and the defense, Vance Joseph, the defense that he called, and just perfect timing for the Dolphins. There's a look at Vance right there. He's tried changing things up, and as you mentioned, the Jets had those first downs early on and now haven't been able to do much.
Play clock winding down on the Dolphins. Ryan Tannehill calls timeout with 3:32 to play in the 3rd. Jordan Phillips still basking in the glow.
Yeah, he has to feel good about that. So great hands,
athleticism. Great hands, yeah.
Crucial 3rd down here for the Jets. If they can hold them to a field goal attempt and keep this a 1-possession game.
Tannehill to throw. And it almost picked off by Jordan Jenkins, the rookie from Georgia.
I know I let out a big breath on that one. That was almost 85 the other way by Jordan Jenkins, and I think he realized it as well. That would have been a race between he and Tannehill going the other direction. See, that's why you play defense. That ball hit him right in the chest, and he jumped in the air to catch it. Just catch it with your hands as you're running through the ball. But great stop for the Jets defensively. That's a quick change. For a defense to come on the field after a quick change like that and be able to hold them to a field goal attempt is important.
Andrew Franks from 25 yards, and it is good. And we get a flag down on the play.
Oh, if this is the Jets being in the neutral zone, this will give them a 1st down.
Illegal formation on the offense. Number 67 is not on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
So they'll back them up 5 yards and force Andrew Franks to do it again, this time from 30 yards away.
Right side for us, but left side for the Dolphins. Outside part of that line was just too far in the backfield.
So here's Franks to try it again. And it is good again. So 3:22 to play in the 3rd. Fitzpatrick going to give it another shot. 20-13, Miami. 3:22 to play here in the 3rd. And as you mentioned before, Trent, a big stop defensively by the Jets to keep this a 1-possession game.
Well, that was important. When you talk about quick change, that's situational football. Coaches talk about it all the time. If there's a turnover and you're down in that part of the field, how's your defense going to respond? They try and do that stuff in practice where all of a sudden out of the blue they'll blow the whistle, hey, turnover, you got to get on the field, and how are you going to change it? So great reaction by the defense of the Jets.
This one is purposely kicked short and Spiller at the 10-yard line. to the outside and out of bounds short of the 25-yard line. In honor of Veterans Day, for every point scored during the 32 Salute to Service games, the league will donate $1,000 to its military nonprofit partners, including the Pat Tillman Foundation, USO, and Wounded Warrior Project. To join the Salute and learn more, visit NFL.com/salute. As part of Salute to Service, earlier this week, former Miami Dolphins Vernon Carey, Sean Wooden, and John Bach joined the Dolphins cheerleaders on a visit to Guantanamo Bay Naval Base. Jets need some offense, need some first downs. That's Forte, and there's Ryan Fitzpatrick going along for the ride.
Robbie Anderson right down the sideline, missed that one, and then on third down to Brandon Marshall. Then the sack fumble by Cameron Wake. The interception, but talk about the toughness of Ryan Fitzpatrick coming back after that interception. The last play, they're trying to do a draw, and he realizes there's two safeties coming off the right side. So what's he do? He hands the ball off, and he goes with them, and he ends up making a block and pushing the pile. That's why the guys on the team love him. It's just that's the type of quarterback he is, and he's going to put himself out there.
Looks like Bobby McCain is being looked at for the Miami Dolphins, the second-year corner out of Memphis. And he is up, and he's going to trot off the field. It's really interesting, not just these two coaches, but from week to week, how little the coaches know about how their teams are going to come out on game day.
We had conversations with both of the coaches.
Sure.
You know, you have a good week of practice, you think, oh, we're rolling, we're going to go out here, and then all of a sudden they come out flat. Or you have a flat week of practice, you come out and they play great. Or pregame warm-ups go one direction or the other, and then it doesn't translate over to the field. So I think both coaches have to be happy with the way the teams are performing today, though.
Fitzpatrick. Oh, what a grab at the 35-yard line by Brandon Marshall for a first down.
This is an incredible catch. I cannot tell you how difficult of a catch that is. You're running full speed. It's low. It's away from your body. The only thing he could do is get one hand on it, and yet he's able to bring it in. So
he didn't even use the other hand to secure it.
No, that's the thing. It's that's one as a quarterback, you give him a little nod in the huddle and give him a thanks.
From the 41. Fitzpatrick had to get rid of it in a hurry. Ndamukong Suh in pursuit. Here's Ndamukong Suh, 6'4", 305 pounds. You feel like you're talking to a Nobel Prize winner when you sit down and talk with him.
It's incredible when you because he has this reputation, you know, because of the stuff that he did in Detroit, the penalties he's in, you know, and then you sit down with him and great to talk to. Great, very intelligent and understands the defense, understands what's going on around him.
Fitzpatrick on the move and diving across the 45 to about the 47 or 48-yard line.
Well, we've already made fun of his sliding ability today, and this time he's smart enough to realize that he's got pressure coming off that left side. They're bringing the pressure, bringing Abdul Quddus from the left side, and he takes off and runs, and smart enough to get down.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick learned nothing from watching the World Series. 3rd and 4.
Dolphins showing man-to-man with press all the way along the line of scrimmage.
Fitzpatrick under pressure, throws over the middle, and that's going nowhere. Grabbed by Robbie Anderson, but Fitzpatrick was running out of time in a hurry in the pocket.
Got a flag on the top of the field. They're going to have holding against, looks like maybe Maxwell up there. Or, oh, it's Michael Thomas they're going to get it on.
Prior to the pass, holding number 31 defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
We were talking about in the first half how the Jets killed themselves. This could be a big one. against the Miami Dolphins.
31 Thomas there. You see he has a hand on that left hand on the jersey.
That was a good 5-yard grab.
That was, and that's what they called. They called it initially before the ball went in the air. He got a hold of the jersey, pulled it down, and Peak trying to get up the field, and Thomas not allowing it.
So the Jets with a first down at the Miami 48. It'll go deep. Marshall bobbling it, incomplete, penalty flag is thrown.
They may have a couple of penalties here. There may be a roughing the passer in the backfield, and then they could get a pass interference or a holding call down the sideline against Brandon Marshall. Fitzpatrick getting his helmet knocked off.
Boy, the Miami defensive front has been bringing it against Fitzpatrick.
Unless they're going to call a hold, which would be offsetting, so. But with the way Fitzpatrick, the number of shots he's taken today.
Here we go, Walt Coleman.
There are 2 fouls on the defense. Pass interference number 41, that penalty is declined. Personal foul roughing the passer, number 97 defense, that penalty will be accepted 15 yards from the previous spot, first down.
So the penalty is on Jordan Phillips, that is accepted, but meanwhile that battle goes on between Brandon Marshall and Byron Maxwell.
Here's the hand fighting going down the sideline. You can see Maxwell reaching out and grabbing that left arm. Yes, they were battling back and forth. Now we're going to take a look at the hit. As much as anything, the protection of the quarterback's legs is standing in the pocket. You can see that hit down around the knee area. And you're saying, why did you take the passer, or why did you take the roughing the passer instead? Fitzpatrick taking the knee, just not feeling right.
No, he isn't. And goes down to a knee again.
He's going to go down to try and give Bryce Petty a chance to get loose.
Bryce Petty, the second-year quarterback out of Baylor.
It appears it has to do with his leg and not his head. I know he was knocked and...
Let's go back to the hit that he took.
Well, he got knocked and his helmet flew off. You can understand as Phillips comes in low, he beats Johnson to get up the field. Falls right into the lower left leg of Fitzpatrick. As Fitzpatrick was going to the line, you could tell it just wasn't right. So he turned around to the official and took a knee. I was concerned that maybe he was a little groggy from the helmet coming off and the hit that he took. But as soon as the trainers came out, he pointed to that left knee.
And when things have gone sideways as they have this season for the Jets, this is the young man Jets fans have been clamoring for, to at least give Bryce Petty a shot.
Well, he's got the size. You see that? The 6'2", 6'3", 230. He's got the arm strength.
Second time on this drive, the Jets get a first down by penalty. Petty tosses a little screen. Bilal Powell with running room. Inside the 20. Forward progress will be marked at about the 17-yard line.
Smart play call here. You get Bryce Petty coming off the bench cold. Hasn't had much of a chance to warm up. You know the Dolphins are bringing a lot of heat up front with their front four. Give him a nice, easy completion. Powell does the rest. And just to go back to my talk before Fitzpatrick went down, why did they accept the roughing the passer instead of the pass interference call? The pass interference call was only about 13 yards up the field, whereas the roughing the passer was a 15-yard penalty. So that's why you take the roughing the passer, gives you an extra couple yards.
Let's see if Petty gets the snap off before time expires here in the third. It doesn't appear that he will. We come to the end of 3 here at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. The Dolphins leading the New York Jets by a score of 20-13. We're coming back after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Along with producer Jim Rickoff, director Suzanne Smith, Greg Gumbel, Trent Green, Jamie Erdahl at Hard Rock Stadium as they continue to look at Ryan Fitzpatrick on the sideline. And Bryce Petty continues as the quarterback on the field for the New York Jets. 20-13 as we start the fourth. Bobby McCain, you saw him walk off the field for the Dolphins. He is being looked at for possible concussion. Bilal Powell on the field alongside Petty. Powell inside the 15 to about the 14. Petty, a fourth-round draft pick a year ago. Pretty good numbers at Baylor. Very good numbers at Baylor.
Well, and I think when you look at fourth round right there, I think the thing that people know that he had the big numbers, he had a lot of success at Baylor, has the big arm, the size, everything about it. It's just he didn't really run a pro offense. It wasn't an underneath the center, and everything he did was out of shotgun. It wasn't coming in the huddle and calling a play. It was everything from the line of scrimmage. But the Jets feel he's in position now to where he can have some success. He's learned it well enough.
Powell, no place to go. Looks like he lost a little bit of yardage. Just inside the 15-yard line, it'll be third down.
Well, just to extend my comments further, it was a lot of the offense they ran at Baylor. It was a matter of looking to the line of scrimmage. Then you look over to the sideline. They changed the play with boards and words and numbers. Everything was check system. As opposed to right now, he's standing in the huddle, actually having to speak about a play and put that into words for everybody. And you sound like that's not that big a deal, but if you've never done it throughout your high school or college career, it is a big change. It's a big third down here.
2 red zone trips for the Jets so far today, 2 field goals. Petty got rid of it. This side, Robbie Anderson, and Anderson gets to about the 10 and no further. And here comes the field goal unit for the Jets.
Continuing to mix things up. Watch the pressure coming off of the left side. Bringing safety pressure and linebacker pressure, making them get rid of the ball quickly.
28-yard field goal attempt upcoming from Nick Folk. He's been good from 23 and from 21. And that one is good. 12:50 to play in the fourth. Miami 20-16. Ryan Fitzpatrick stretching his legs on the sideline with 12:50 to play here in the fourth quarter. And looks like he's getting antsy to come back in.
He's got to find out if you're comfortable. You never worn a knee brace like that, and right in the course of the game, you're trying to, number one, he's trying to see how his knee feels. If he can make all those movements required to play the position, be able to avoid contact, be able to slide in the pocket. The other thing is just the comfort level of the brace.
Far side of the field from the 1-yard line is Kenyon Drake. Drake to the 15. Turns the corner and down at about the 25-26-yard line. Hey, Stephen Colbert has the election surrounded with live editions of The Late Show the night before and after Election Day. Don't miss them tomorrow and Wednesday live on CBS. Fitzpatrick continues to talk on the sideline. They continue to talk to him.
Well, I'm sure some of the conversation has to do with, okay, number one, how bad is the injury? What is the injury? And if I do go in and play, can I make it worse? Or can things happen that could ultimately cost you the rest of the season? So I'm sure all those things are being discussed.
Meanwhile, first down for the Dolphins at the 27. Ajayi in the backfield. Play fake to him. Tannehill running out of time, goes deep, incomplete. Devontae Parker, the intended receiver. And there's number 24, Darrelle Revis. He said, kind of quiet day for him today.
Yeah, only targeted 3 times after a week ago being targeted 17 times. I'm surprised that the Dolphins haven't tried to go after him more. Most of the time, and today I'm so used to seeing him in press coverage, press man coverage. That's what you know him about. Most of the time today he's been on a little bit softer coverage, They haven't taken advantage of that. Last week, Cleveland went after through some hitches just to try and get the ball to him in open space.
This is Ajayi, and Ajayi doesn't get much at all to the 27. When we talked to Darrelle Revis last night, no one denies that they're getting older, and he says that he's just made adjustments along the way.
Well, and I asked him, I said, have there been former players that you've talked to that, you know, as you progress through it, I knew that was something important for me as a quarterback. As you progress, you find different ways to adjust your game just because you know, physically things start to decline. And he talked about his relationship with Ty Law, who played for a long time in the played at a very high level for a long time in the National Football League. And just that's someone he's used as a mentor in terms of how to make adjustments as you progress in your career.
Tannehill looking at a 3rd and 9. Throws far side of the field. That is complete, and first down yardage and more for Dominique Jones. What a contribution Dominique Jones has been today for Miami's offense. 17 yards.
Well, Greg, you and I have talked about it a couple times throughout this game, and the tight end is not a big part of this offense. It hasn't been all season because of the weapons they have at the wide receiver position with Landry Parker and Stills, and Ryan Tannehill showing the toughness to stand in and make that throw, but Dominique Jones taking the most of his opportunity today. As you mentioned already, Jordan Cameron on IR, Deion Sims not playing today.
180 from the 45. Tannehill escapes the pressure, throws on the run, and incomplete. Jarvis Landry, the closest. Let's check in with Jamie.
Greg, thank you. The Jets are telling me Ryan Fitzpatrick is questionable to return with that left knee injury. However, his helmet's been given back to him after he had that brace put on. He went through about 6 or 7 throws, really putting emphasis on that planting left leg in his throwing motion. He continues to move around, talk to the quarterback's coach, but it seems to me, from my observation, he wants to go back in this game.
All right, Jamie, I'm sure he does. In fact, if they don't want you to go in, they don't give you your helmet back, do they?
They don't. No, they don't. And you do everything you can to find it. I wouldn't be surprised to see him back on the field. He's shown toughness throughout his entire career.
2nd and 10, and this is Ajayi, and Ajayi to midfield.
We talked to Jay Ajayi about his conditioning and how he feels like he can, as the game goes on and as defenses, he can tell a difference in defenses by the 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, as things starting to get tired, whereas that big hit early in the game may not be there as much towards the end of the game. He just has a lot of belief in his stamina and his conditioning that he thinks he gets better as the game moves on.
As for his quest to make it a 3rd straight 200-yard rushing game, it'll be miraculous if he accomplishes that at this stage. He has 63 yards rushing. Tannehill gonna go deep. Has a man open and overthrew him. Leonte Carew, the 3rd round pick out of Rutgers.
Well, Carew was working on that left side against Darryl Roberts. Appears he had a step on him, just Tannehill just a little bit too much on it.
So now Matt Darr set to kick it away to Jalen Marshall, who is back at his own 10-yard line. Hangs it up. Fair catch. And this one doesn't slip through his arms. The Jets will start at the 10-yard line, and we'll check and see who's going to be at the helm at quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick has his helmet on.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Acura. Precision crafted performance. Verizon. Welcome to Verizon LTE Advanced, the next-gen network. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
10:18 to play, 4th quarter. Miami leading by 4, 20-16, and Ryan Fitzpatrick is indeed back out onto the field for the New York Jets. Left the game in the last minute of the 3rd quarter. Fitted with a knee brace. And back in action, Bilal Powell in the backfield with him. Gonna go deep down the far sideline. It is incomplete. Brandon Marshall gonna get another call. Byron Maxwell, boy, they've been fighting all day long.
Well, I'm not surprised by the fact that the Dolphins brought pressure that time. If you have a quarterback that's not sure about the stability of their legs.
Pass interference, number 41, defense. Well, in place at the spot of the foul. First down.
That is the 5th Jets first down by penalty today.
You have a quarterback that's not sure about the stability of his legs. Get pressure around him and see if he's able to step into the throws. You see Maxwell, that's clear cut. He takes both hands and grabs Marshall's left arm. That's an easy call for the officials.
That penalty good for a 26-yard pickup. Fitzpatrick over the middle, wide open. It's caught by Enunwa. Inside the 40 and another first down for the Jets. That's a 25-yard gain.
Enunwa is coming from the right side of the screen here, and that's just the window in between the linebackers. Working his way into the middle of the field. You see Fitzpatrick looking his eyes out to the left. That draws Kiko Alonso out towards the left where it opens the window in the middle of the field. So that's just a quarterback using his eyes to open up a receiver.
Enunwa with his first catch of the day to the Miami 39. Fitzpatrick. Inside screen, and that's not going far at all because Bilal Powell is there, but maybe back to the line of scrimmage. We told you these two guys had been talking through the media all week, and then it flowed out onto the field.
You're right, Greg. It did start during the week and continued through. You see a lot of hand checking, a lot of infighting, going to the whistle. There's one pass interference call on Maxwell. And then, of course, the second one just happened a few moments ago to extend this drive.
Second and 11. And Fitzpatrick going to go deep again, far side of the field. Going up and coming down with it is Robbie Anderson. Anderson to the end zone, but he'll be marked down.
Well, you got one official calling it a touchdown and another saying he was touched.
Either way, heck of a catch by Robbie Anderson, the rookie free agent. It is a touchdown.
Willing on the field. Touchdown.
40 yards.
Well, I guess that knee's feeling all right for Fitzpatrick, able to step onto it. And this, nobody touches him there. Doesn't get touched there. The only thing would be
when he went up for
when
it.
he went up. Did
Walt Coleman saying that it will, of course, be reviewed.
Let's see if his hand's on his shoulder here. He does touch his. He touches his arm there.
Yeah,
I think that'll get brought back.
Walt Coleman is ready.
After reviewing the play, the receiver gained possession in the air and was touched on the left shoulder and then went down to the ground, so he's down by contact. The ring on the field is changed. First and 10 on the 13.
You know, when Robbie Anderson sees the film, he'll agree. You called it, Trent.
Well, and that's the thing. Lippett gets that right hand on the shoulder of Robbie Anderson. We'll take a look at it here. It's pretty clear. Now the ball is under control. When he goes to the ground, it doesn't move. It's secured catch. Good job by Anderson getting up and running into the end zone. Got to finish the play, especially you don't hear a whistle. But the officials got the call right, reversing it.
That cornerback is Tony Lippett, playing today in place of Xavier Howard, who is inactive with a knee injury. First down, Jets. At the 13. Fitzpatrick throwing, end zone, and complete at the goal line. Brandon Marshall, the intended receiver, second and 10.
Well, Maxwell is lined up with Brandon Marshall, and Maxwell lets him go to the outside. Maxwell actually got caught looking back into the backfield, and I saw Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins, ran all the way down to about the 25-yard line screaming at him that you got to stick with him because he had help over the top. But he's not supposed to lose that man-to-man.
Jets have had to settle for field goals each time they've made their way into the red zone. This is Forte. Stood up at the 11-yard line. Ndamukong Suh, Spencer Paysinger making the stop.
Well, the red zone has been a problem all year for the Jets. Coming into this game, they're 30th in the National Football League in touchdown percentage of red zone possessions. You can see having problems getting it into the end zone today.
Miami fans are on their feet. And so are the Jet fans. Fitzpatrick going to loft it, and nobody there except Dolphins. It's intercepted.
Just a miscommunication here. Ryan Fitzpatrick throwing it for a jump ball. He thinks the receivers are going to come underneath. You see both of them there. And ball the other way.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway. Try the new Autumn Carve Turkey Sandwich today. And by National Mortgage Lender Quicken Loans. Home buy, refi, power.
Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick ventures into the red zone. It has not been his cup of tea this season.
Well, and that was clearly a miscommunication with his receivers. He was lobbing that to the end zone thinking he was going to put it in a jump ball. There were some openings underneath, just not on the same page.
From the 20-yard line, this is Ajayi, and Ajayi squeezes through a hole for about 3, maybe 4. And the clock continues to move. Let's go back to that interception.
Well, the Dolphins are going to bring pressure. Both of them come here. Well, I watch Enunwa in the middle here. He's going to work inside, and there is an opening there. And if he just hits Enunwa, he can get the first down. Because you only have to get to the 3 to get the first down. You can see both receivers on the outside work inside. Nobody goes to the end zone. As I said, a miscommunication. Ryan Fitzpatrick thought someone was going to the back line, and nobody did.
Tannehill on 2nd and 6. Quick pass to the side. Lost the ball. Now, is that a backwards pass or an incomplete pass? It's picked up by the Jets, David Harris, and he's out of bounds. Let's see what the call is. They say forward pass incomplete.
Well, that'll be interesting, Greg, because all the officials on this side of the field that were on the side of the play, including the officials in the backfield, all kept the ball alive. The official on the far side of the field is the one that called it a forward pass. From that angle, it appears that it was forward. It'll be pretty easy to tell. Tannehill was about the 20.5-yard line, and that ball was about the 20.5-yard line. That's very close.
Yeah. So it's 3rd and 6. His challenge flag stays in Todd Bowles'
he was
back
thinking
pocket.
about it. It would be hard to overturn it. Tannehill released the ball, as I said, and where the ball was first contacted.
Tannehill looking, throws in and out of the hands of his intended receiver, Dominique Jones.
Well, Dominic Jones having the biggest day of his NFL career. Not able to come up with that crucial 3rd down attempt. Would have been right at the sticks. Pryor knocking that ball loose.
A good job by the Jet defense, and Jalen Marshall now back at his own 25. Matt Dart dropped the football. And the Jets are going to get the ball inside the 20-yard line. Wow. Matt Darr, the second-year man out of Tennessee, just right off the fingertips.
You can see he was looking it in, just didn't secure it. Ryan Fitzpatrick's the happiest guy on the field right now. The defense held him 3 and out. Been able to get the ball right back just about where the interception occurred.
And here are the Jets now at the Miami 18, 5:52 to play. Fitzpatrick running out of time, and he's decked as he released the football. It'll be 2nd and 10. Andre Branch in on the Jet quarterback.
When that pocket has been collapsing around Fitzpatrick all day. They've done a good job of mixing things up with secondary pressure, linebacker pressure, this time just rushing 4.
Down, he needs a snap, he calls a timeout. Jets use their first timeout of the second half to stop the clock with 5:46 to play. 20-16, 5:47 to play. Trent, you and I were just talking amongst ourselves. If they're faced with a 4th down here, do they go for it? Are you in 4-down territory, or do you settle for a field goal?
You know, I think the way the defense has been playing, and the fact you still have a couple of timeouts and the 2-minute warning, you could go with the field goal here and try and get it back before the end.
2nd and 10. Fitzpatrick throwing for the end zone. Touchdown! Jalen Marshall.
Jalen Marshall against Bobby McCain, working on the right side for Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Marshall's first touchdown catch of the year. What do we say about gunslingers, Trent? They just keep on shooting,
You
right?
just keep on firing it away. And then we had that discussion with Ryan Fitzpatrick last night. And sometimes when interceptions happen, you just got to keep firing. And we talked about his toughness as many times as many hits he's taken today, and had to get the knee brace and come back in the football game. Had the interception with the miscommunication in the last possession. That time steps in there.
Important extra point here. And it is good. And we have a penalty marker down on the far side of the field.
False start, number 71, offense, 5-yard penalty.
Gets a little more interesting.
Well, you got me, Greg. I was so excited talking about the quarterback play.
You were. We got to tie you down.
You forget about that all important extra point. So we had a quick look at the sideline. Adam Gase and Ryan Tannehill were talking about this next possession they have coming up for the Dolphins and how important it's going to be for them now to come down and respond.
So from 38 yards out. And it is perfect. 5:42 to play in the 4th, and the Jets have come back to grab the lead at 23-20.
Jalen Marshall with the touchdown. Robbie Anderson with 4 catches, 49 yards. Brandon Marshall you expect it from, and Nunwa you expect it from, but only the 1 catch today. Bilal Powell has had some effectiveness on 3rd down. Ryan Fitzpatrick spreading the ball around.
A reminder for you, Saturday, we have an SEC doubleheader coming your way. South Carolina visits the SEC East leading Florida Gators. Then the Auburn Tigers bring their 6-game win streak to Georgia for a crucial showdown. It all begins at noon Eastern time right here on CBS Sports. Matt Darr, who lost the football, gave the Jets a chance, and Ryan Fitzpatrick cashed in.
I hate to tell them this. That's nervous punting right there, working on catching and kicking into a net, because they're not punting right now. With this amount of time left in the game and trailing by a field goal, they've got to go down and get some points unless something happen as a quick change. As I just said with the Jets, the Dolphins still have 2 timeouts. They have the 2-minute warning. Depending on as this possession moves forward, you start thinking about going for it on 4th down.
You kind of think Matt Darr should be practicing catching the snap. This is Jakeem Grant. Hit, bounces off. Giving ground, still looking for running room. Still spinning, and now finally down at about the 19-yard line. That's a heck of a return for Jakeem Grant.
That's the most impressive 19-yard return I think we've seen all year.
We have a penalty marker down. And Calvin Pryor is down on one knee, now finally getting up and walking to the sideline.
May have to do it all over again where that flag is.
Offside, number 39 of the kicking team. 5-yard penalty and re-kick.
So Antonio Allen guilty of offsides on the kickoff. Let's take a look at Jakeem Grant again.
A lot of tired players out on the field after this, catching it 4 yards deep in the end zone, and I think he covers about 150 yards in running here as he's going back and forth across the field and hits and spins.
Well, that's 3. 4.
There's another
5,
spin.
6.
Oh, there's another spin.
7.
Were you a pinball fan growing up, Greg?
No.
You play a lot of pinball? No?
No.
No? Well, you just witnessed pinball right there.
I missed my thug days as a youth. About 5.5 to play. And now Nick Folk will kick it from the 30.
Well, Calvin Pryor took a big hit for the Jets, and he had to get some assistance going off the field. It'll be interesting to see if he comes back in on defense. I notice he's not out there right now for this kickoff coverage.
This bodes well for field position. And this is Kenyon Drake. Drake to the 20, 25, breaking through and up the middle. Drake, midfield, and he could go. 10, 5, touchdown Miami.
Great reaction by the crowds.
96 yards.
Well, you talked about that last extra point being important. This next one's going to be even more important to make this a 4-point game. Great blocking up front. Drake shows the acceleration to get through. Gets to the far sideline.
Trent, an offside at the kickoff forced a re-kick, and the Dolphins cashed in.
Yeah, instead of the Dolphins being at their own 19-yard line, now they've got the lead.
Andrew Franks with the extra point, and it's perfect. Antonio Allen was called for the offsides on the kickoff. They re-kick. And Kenyon Drake is in perfect hero position. There's the kickoff on which he was offside, right there. Now,
7 points and 81-yard difference.
How tough is it to regroup if you're the Jets?
Well, I think offensively, you've got to take all that out of the way and say, you know what, that didn't just happen. We're going on the field with we're trailing by 4. You don't think of all the things and the mistakes, and you know you got a job to do. You got plenty of time. 5:15 to go. You've got 2 timeouts. You got the 2-minute warning. Your entire playbook is at your disposal. run the ball, play action, whatever it may be. No need to panic at this point in time.
The last time the Miami Dolphins beat the New York Jets here in Miami was Week 17 of the 2011 season. Still all kinds of time on the clock. C.J. Spiller is deep for the Jets. He will not try to bring this one out. And the touchback will get the Jets started at their own 25-yard line. Gives us an opportunity to tell you, be the first to know your team's news with the CBS Sports app. Get instant updates, expert analysis, highlights, and more. Download the CBS Sports app today.
Had a chance to talk with Chan Gailey this week about how they wanted to neutralize and take away the effectiveness of the Dolphins pass rush. As we've seen throughout the day, the Dolphins have used different combinations to get pressure on Ryan Fitzpatrick, and now the task comes to Chan Gailey. How do you want to mix up and call this final drive? Continue to mix in the run, but you also have to get some chunks up the field.
Byron Maxwell on Brandon Marshall at the top of your screen. Going to give this to Forte, and Forte to about the 28. A pickup of 3. And it'll be 2nd and 7. Clock continues to move. 4:55 to play in the 4th.
No impressive day by Forte, as you see there, 92 yards on the ground. He goes off the field. Bilal Powell has been effective catching the ball out of the backfield. This time he's going to split wide on the outside of Brandon Marshall. Interesting, they bounce Maxwell out over the top of Powell, and now with Powell moving back in, Maxwell moves over onto Brandon Marshall.
Play clock to 2 to 1, and he gets the snap, and they give it to Powell. And Powell, nowhere to go. And Ndamukong Suh.
Well, if you're wondering, this is not 4-down territory with 4 minutes to go and 2 timeouts and a 2-minute warning. You've got to pick up the first down here if you want to keep this drive going. Otherwise, you're going to have to punt it away and rely on your defense to get you the ball back.
The Jets 0 for their last 5 on 3rd down. Fitzpatrick under pressure and goes down. And that is Ndamukong Suh. The Jets' offensive line has had problems with that front of the Dolphins all day.
Well, not having Nick Mangold in the middle, Wesley Johnson had his hands full the entire day with Ndamukong Suh, and
who doesn't?
Suh's been able to get in the backfield. He's a guy you got to double team a lot, and so far today he's been winning that battle.
This is Jarvis Landry, and Landry at his own 37 changes direction and dives across the 45 to about the 46-yard line. Just a reminder for you, coming your way next, Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts pay a visit to Lambeau. Take on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. That should be a high-scoring matchup. Or the Titans take on the Chargers. It's all coming next year on CBS.
Well, now what the Jets have to decide from their standpoint is how much pressure do you bring? It's that point of the game that you have to find ways. You would think the Dolphins are going to do everything very conservative. Run the football, try and keep the clock moving, try and get a quick play action pass and get a short flat. Something short to get the ball out of Tannehill's hands so he doesn't stand back there and take a sack.
Jets with 2 timeouts remaining. They'll give this to Ajayi, and Ajayi breaks free across midfield to the 45 of the Jets.
Well, now you have to bring pressure. You have to put people at the line of scrimmage. Less than a yard to go to get the first down. You can't afford to let them get the first down. Now, the problem with that is you're susceptible to the big play. If the Dolphins want to try a play-action pass and get over the top, this is the down to do it on 2nd and short. If you think that defensively they're going to bring a lot of pressure and you want to take that big shot up the field, this would be the time to do it.
He keeps it. Tannehill going to run for it and not going to get there as he's knocked down short of the line of scrimmage. Darrelle Revis leading the charge. And with that, we hit the 2-minute warning. 27-23, Miami, 2 minutes to... Here's some of what's happened here today. Matt Forte was big on the ground for the Jets in the first half. As the Dolphins claimed a couple of takeaways, the Jets took the lead on the Jalen Marshall touchdown catch, and then the Dolphins reclaimed the lead on Kenyon Drake's 96-yard kickoff return.
Well, that 96-yard kickoff return was on a re-kick. So that was a huge penalty by the Jets, allowing that touchdown to happen after the re-kick.
Meanwhile, how big is this for the Jets and for the Dolphins?
Well, and I think once again, the Jets are going to have to bring pressure. They've got to get everybody at the line. You're going to go man-to-man, so you're susceptible to getting hit by a big play, but you've got to bring it in the backfield, not allow them to get going.
Tannehill going to throw it. Sideline, incomplete, and there's the penalty flag. Julian Stanford bringing Dominique Jones down.
Pass interference, number 51. Defense. Ball placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
Dominique Jones lined up in the backfield. He's just running the flat. They used to call that fire pass left 71F flat. I don't know what they call it now, but that was the guy coming out of the backfield. That was a little football talk for you, Greg.
I got it. I'm still writing.
They had the guys going upfield man-to-man. You think there's going to be a run fake. That's what they do. You get them out to the flat. Dominique Jones was the receiver, and just too early by Stanford.
4th time today, Miami has gotten a first down by a Jet penalty, and here is Ajayi. Ajayi inside the 30 to the 25.
Jets still have the 2 timeouts. That's not the time to call it.
20-yard pickup, 96 on the day for Ajayi.
He talked to us about how he gets stronger as the day goes on, his stamina. They've been sticking with it. 22 attempts on the day for Ajayi. Many of those have been negative runs, though, Greg, because of the job the defense has done, but he's had plenty of big chunks up the field as well.
Ajayi again, slow start to that one, and it went nowhere. The stop is made by Leonard Williams, and timeout is called with 66 seconds to play. Well, his quest was 200 yards today to become the first ever to do that. He's not going to do that.
And if they end up winning this game, I don't think he cares. It's a heck of a ball game, just back and forth. You think about the way this game started off. Both offenses were clicking, no punts until well into the 2nd quarter. Then all of a sudden it became a defensive battle. 2nd quarter and into 3rd quarter, and then 4th quarter. Now we've had all kinds of fireworks.
It'll be 2nd and 11 for Tannehill and the Dolphins. Lots of factors in this game. One of them, the penalties against the New York Jets. Ajayi, running room. Right up the middle to the 10.
Well, that seals it, Greg. With only 1 timeout left by the Jets, that first down will ensure that they can just take a knee. We talked about his size, his speed, but it's his vision here. That play's supposed to run to the left. He recognizes the collapse of the line to that side. He's able to cut it back.
And the Jets don't bother to use that last timeout as the clock continues to tick. Half a minute to play.
Frustration continues for Todd Bowles and the Jets. Got themselves in position, took the lead, and then that kickoff return gave them the go-ahead score.
For Todd Bowles and the Jets, a third straight just crushing defeat. Their 2-game winning streak is snapped. The Dolphins extend their winning streak to 3 in a row. Miami a 27-23 winner, the AFC East. Miami climbs up alongside Buffalo at 4-4, and the Jets fall to 3-6 on the year. Once again, our final score: Miami 27, the Jets 23. Up next, the Colts and the Packers, or the Titans and the Chargers. For Trent Green, for Jamie Erdahl, for our entire crew here at Hard Rock Stadium, Greg Gumbel saying so long from Miami. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.